What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So I'm sure a lot of Lucid investors have been very much thinking about the rumor that's been floating around to see if there's any credibility to it or if it's just more of a fugazi, just a pump and dump and things like that. I want to add one piece to the puzzle and potentially why it might be very much true. So I'm going to go over all the stuff you need to know. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said though, let's get right to it. So I'm sure a lot of you are aware that on January 27th, Lucid did submit a 8K. And in this 8K document, it goes over the date of the 2023 annual shareholder meeting, which is going to be on April 24th, 2023. And any investors of record date February 28th, 2023 is going to be eligible for voting, which of course is pretty standard stuff. So it goes over the date and all the things that you need to know. It does also have a little disclaimer here that is very abnormal that I'm going to really touch on. But what typically it does look like is like this. So it goes over the date. So April 28th, 2022. So it is very notable that it has actually moved up roughly about 2 months. So begs the question why, but it goes over technically as well when the date is going to be held. So the last one was in fact held on June the 9th, 2022, and it goes over potentially what is being voted on. Of course, this aspect as far as what is being voted on is not necessarily brought up here, but once it is all voted on and the actual meeting has been concluded, this document is submitted to the SEC on basically just what was and what was not passed. Of course, I'm just giving you a little bit more context to this, but going back here though, there's this disclaimer that really stands out. And it does say, due to the fact that the meeting date for the 2023 annual shareholder meeting is advanced more than 30 days prior to the anniversary of the company's stockholder meeting in 2022, the company is providing the due date for submissions of any qualified stockholder proposals pursuant to Rule 14A sub 8 under the SEC Act of 1934. So what on earth does that mean? That does mean that they are giving investors and stockholders up until February the 13th, 2023 to submit any questions or proposals to potentially get voted on at this April 24th, 2023 meeting. Of course, this is where the rumor potentially does come into play about the PIF potentially wanting to take Lucid private. And initially, if you do read this right here, it does say corporate law typically allows acquirer to gain full ownership of the target, even if shareholders who in total own a minority interest in the companies oppose the acquisition. Of course, this is basically what I have been saying during my live stream, last couple of videos, that potentially, since the PIF does have a controlling interest of Lucid or in Lucid, they technically don't really need a shareholder vote. But it does come down to and boils down to the company's articles of incorporation. So once again, I read through majority of which of this very lengthy document, which was, as you can see, created on August the 24th, 2021. But there is a snippet in here that really stands out, and it does say right here, in our current certificate of incorporation, we have not opted out of section 203 of the DGCL, which prohibits a Delaware corporation from engaging in certain business combinations with any interested stockholders for a 3-year period following the time that the stockholder became a interested stockholder, unless, then it goes over some kind of snippets I'm going to touch on in a second. But as you can see, 3 years after this date, so it's technically within this time period. So hypothetically, the PIF is not really entitled to buy Lucid fully. Of course, if you do look at these snippets right here, it basically says that if there is a vote of its shareholders and 2/3 at least vote in favor of it, then it kind of nullifies this section right here. So once again, this is maybe why Lucid did push ahead and move up the actual shareholder meeting so this actually can be voted on. Of course, there is no formal offer as of right now. I think this is one thing that everyone is really missing, because if the PIF does in fact have a submission or an offer submitted, then that is a whole game changer. That kind of just makes everything very much real. But at the end of the day, I think this is why Lucid is in fact moving up the shareholder meeting to bring this forward. Of course, even if they do come out next week saying that, yes, we do want to buy the remaining 700 million or whatever it is outstanding shares, well, technically they still do have to wait until April 24th, 2023 to find out if the shareholders do in fact approve it. Which of course, it will very much largely boil down to the price. How much are they paying equivalently per share? Is it going to be $60, $200, $12? Who knows? Again, it will come down and boil down to the price. But investors like myself, I know Lucid is just getting going right now. So I know 2023 and onward, they're really going to kick some ass. So it really sucks to see potentially it being taken private right before its massive trajectory upwards. So again, I think that might come into play as well. So there's a lot of different moving parts potentially. But on a side note though, take a step back and realize that this is just a rumor. I'm just doing these videos as hypotheticals, just so you guys know the next steps. So potentially if there is an offer, then what is coming next? So a lot of people aren't necessarily caught off guard. But like I said, if you guys have any questions, take a read of this very long, lengthy document of their articles of incorporation. It does in fact say a lot of good information in this that definitely could give a little bit more context to basically what might come for the broader aspect. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Over and above that, hypothetically, if this deal was to go through, what would you sell your shares for? Would it be 60? Would it be 80, 100, 200, $1,000? Give me your number in the comments below. Very interested to hear that. But generally speaking, are you actually very much for Lucid going private? I think that's a little bit more of a bigger, broader question that I think a lot of people should answer, really ask themselves as well, because like myself, I've been in Lucid for a very long time. I grew to really like Lucid and their product management, kind of hit and miss sometimes, but their products are on point. So fundamentally, like I've already said, I think over the next couple of years, this is where Lucid is really going to develop and grow. Of course, coming from an investor standpoint, that is where you're going to make the most money. So it really does suck to potentially go private right before that. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. And with that said, let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.